Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Kaspa coin, ladies and gentlemen. Look, we know this coin, unless you don't know, is going to pack a punch in about 2 days, okay? In literally about 2 days, we are going to go from a coin that is at 1 BPS to 10 BPS, which pretty much means, right? To translate it in the easiest way possible is that this coin is going to become the 10x the coin it is now. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to jump 10x in price, but it is literally going to be 10 times better. And I cannot wait to see Kaspa's success over the next couple of months and years to come. Now, of course, personally, I will be selling this coin when there will be a pump during altcoin season. And, when we go into bear season, I probably will accumulate a lot of this coin if I'm being very, very honest, right? I do not marry any projects and I don't think you should too. Plus, just even logically and just in terms of making more money, you always make more money trying to cash out, near the tops or, at decent profits and then just rebuying in also at decent bottoms, right? Look, this coin is going to do no wonders, right? It's going to do wonders without a shadow of a doubt, right? We can even see that in the last couple of days, right, it slowed down a little bit, rightfully so, because we retested off of very, very crucial and critical areas, going upwards of 11 cents, which if we go even on the monthly, we can see, right, that is actually a very, very huge zone. So we can see we actually were testing off of these, big zones over here, right? We did go down to a good zone, which we talked about right over here, right? We talked about in the videos, we talked about in the Discord that, it's most likely going to bounce off of here. Yes, we did have this weekly institutional candle that I mentioned before, but I said it's probably not going to be likely because we already broke structure to the upside. And this is just like a game of ping pong, right? Trading is just a game of ping pong. We bounced off here, which we can see it right over here. We bounced up, boom, we went back to this zone, and now we're looking to break through. That is the next step, right? The only thing that can, short term destroy this is if Bitcoin does decide to retrace back to 90,000. But in terms of, the market, right, Bitcoin's going decently up. It's around 97,000, 98,000, right? Kaspa itself is just looking to break out of the zone. And we talked about once we get past 11 cents, this is, the confirmed bullish territory. Now, for me, right, I don't always need, super, super big confirmation on the monthly or, the 3 month candle or multiple weeks of confirmation for me to buy coins. When I see coins at a good price, I like to buy them, right? I bought Kaspa at 8.5 cents. I bought it at roughly at 7.5 cents. I bought it even lower at 6 something, right? So I have a good, dollar cost average. And for me, I talked about it before, but I'll talk about it again. If I did, let's say hypothetically, buy Kaspa, let's say at this green area for 11 cents for like $1,000 before, right? And then it crashed lower to, 8 cents, then I would have put something like $2,000, okay? And then if we went back down to 6 cents, I probably would have done like 3,500. Now, this is just an example, right? I'm not saying I literally put this amount of money, right? I'm not saying you have to put this amount of money, but it's the same thing, right? You put in 10 bucks here, right? If it continue going down, you like another zone, you put like 20 bucks, then you put 35 bucks, right? Or, $100, 230, 350 bucks. Now that is the way I personally do it. The lower it gets, the more aggressive I personally get. That is just the way my plan has always been, and it is not going to change. But look, people, right? We know that we are pack punching in a couple of days. I do not expect it to be a sell the news event unless literally Bitcoin decides to just dump during that time. However, we were just ranging for a couple of days and we did just break out. Yes, with something like Bitcoin, right, I would personally like to see more of a fundamental, bigger pullback, but it doesn't necessarily have to happen. We know in general, once things kind of start recovering, right, we can see like something over here, Bitcoin in the later stages, right? Once it started to recover, yes, we had a big dip, then we had a pump, but then we can see right before we exploded, we just kind of were staying in the relevant zones. Now, I showed this on some other videos, but I'll show it here too. Something like gold, right? We can see gold when gold was, let's say, on the 4 hour, right? These were the 2024 highs, right? And then these were like the relevant bottoms. And then we can see that once we kind of started to climb up, we were just kind of climbing up fairly quickly. We never had a full on retracement down here or to lower levels. We just kind of kept going up. And then once we slowed down a little bit, that's when we had a quick dip, right? Boom, boom. And then again, we start to shoot up very, very fast, right? We can see once we started to recover from this relevant zone, we started to recover really, really fast. Once we broke out of like 29.40, we went all the way up to, 31.70. Then we crashed quickly around $200. But we can see, right, in the beginning of April, we crashed. But by the time, next week, practically, we already start to recover. And just, 2-3 weeks later, we were hitting new all-time highs. We went from 29.75 all the way to 3,500. So, once things start pumping, they get moving, people, right? They get moving. I do not think Kaspa will be ranging once again, for a whole year. I mean, that would make zero sense, right? That would make zero sense for Kaspa to be ranging. I believe the worst is over now, right? I believe it's just good times to come, right? We probably will be pumping fairly quickly, in my opinion, back up to once we reclaim 11 cents and we hold this, we probably will be pumping very quickly back up to roughly the 16-17 cent area. Probably go into this institutional candle, maybe sell off a little bit, but probably go back above it. Then we will probably start respecting these highs and, probably line up with altcoin season, with Bitcoin down and starting to crash, with Bitcoin starting to pump. And we are going to be zooming super, super fast and high, right? I am super, super optimistic about this coin, right? I will, of course, let you guys know, if anything, pops up in between. If we go to something like Kaspa's page, right, Kaspa currency, we see almost at 250,000 followers, which is not really that relevant for something like Kaspa, because followers are just one thing. But we can see, right, 4 days, which is on this May 1st, right, until the 10 BPS launch. So, very, very exciting news. And we can just see, as a side thing, we do get, tens of thousands of views per post, which is good, right? So it's an active community. But, just in terms of viewers, holders, and everything, followers, crypto moves in bursts. Once the altcoin season will be here, this coin will probably be over a million and a half followers, if I'm being very, very real, because I do believe it most likely will be pushing that top 15 to top 10, right? Even if we go right now, Kaspa is currently sitting around, if I can find it, Kaspa is currently around, it was 37th, right? So, sure, every coin's going to pump a decent amount, but I think Kaspa is going to have a great cycle. And I do think Kaspa could be one of those coins that could legitimately push for the top, 14, top 10 spots. So yeah, that is it practically for me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm super, super excited. Just 2 days away from the official change for Kaspa. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.